think the planner has it well in hand. The need for the subdivision will be submitted to the planner for execution and recording the revised plan. There'll be a new plan showing the elimination of that lot recorded with the planner's approval.
No other action needed by us.
No other action.
Thank you. Next item, North Smithfield Town Council sitting with the Board of License Commissioners, a holiday sales license, Keystone Novelties Distributor LLC, number 160 Eddie Dowling Highway. We'll take this separately. Is there a motion to approve a holiday sales license for Keystone Novelty Distributor LLC at the location of 60 Eddie Dowling Highway? Here's all the paperwork is there. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. President, if I might, question for clarification through the solicitor. Mr. Igliozzi, this is just temporary for seasonal, for sparklers, fireworks,
Sparklers and fountains, all Rhode Island legal items.
All Rhode Island.
Yeah, it'll be from the 24th of June until the 6th of July, will be our last day of sales.
Is that correct, Mr. Gallo?
Yeah, but the fire marshal signing off, obviously they meet every requirement, so I'm satisfied.
Yeah, and the building inspector, and everybody's comfortable with this. Okay.
A motion to approve this?
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonioli. Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next one is holiday sales license, Keystone Novelty Distributor LLC at 900 Victory Highway. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. President. Given the outline of the inspector, fire marshal, tax collector, and everybody signing off on it, I make that motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes.
Are you Catherine?
No, I'm Melissa. I'm the manager.
Okay.
She's going to be the
Manager.
clerk.
She knows and she's using that
Yeah.
also there.
Thank you.
So you go to the town clerk's office for the licenses.
Yes, once we get our final approval, when we're all set up, the fire department comes out one last time, the building official, and then we'll pick up our licenses.
Okay. Thank you. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. I'd entertain a motion for the invoices and approval list dated 6/17/2019 as follows: general fund, $231,859.50. Sewer and water, $379,745, for a total of $611,604.50. For electronic stipends, to the library of $37,030, the school department $1,640,127, for our interlocal trust $126,507.19, retirement account $4,500.15, and U.S. Bank general obligation bond $761,100, for total electronic payments of $2,569,264.34. Total payments of $3,180,868.84. Motion to approve.
Mr. President, at the recommendation of the finance director and the review of the town administrator, I make a motion to approve suppliers invoices for $3,180,868.84.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. The items are town council minutes of April 15th and May 13th, 2019. Communication from town boards and commissions, Conservation Commission minutes, April 9th, 2019. Communications Animal Control Monthly Report for May of 2019. North Smithfield Police Department Monthly Report for April and May of 2019. North Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Reports for April and May of 2019. Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal citations issued in May of 2019. Motor vehicle registrations, resolution supporting full funding of emergency 911, Town of Forster. Resolution regarding the second amended sanctuary Town of Forster. Resolution in support of an amended Plastic Waste Reduction Act, Town of Portsmouth. Resolution in support of Safe Schools Act, Smithfield School Committee. Resolution regarding the stabilization of state aid, Town of Warren. Everything that likes to be removed?
Yeah, can we pull out the Conservation Commission?
Conservation Commission minutes?
That's a question about it.
We'll pull out the Conservation Commission minutes of April 9th. Is there a motion to approve all other items?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bonneville, is there a second? Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bonneville?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Oshia?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on specific items removed from consent agenda. We have North Smithfield Conservation Commission minutes of April 9th, 2019. Mr. Ogier.
So, I was reading one of the bullet points in there, and it talks about the comprehensive plan revisions, and that we labeled more areas open space, but the percentage of open space had not changed. So maybe this goes more towards, maybe Tom can help answer this, but I'm curious, we labeled more land as open space. Why wouldn't the percentage change? We didn't take any away, if I'm correct, right?
I'm sorry, Doug, I was talking.
It's okay,
I'm still talking more avenue.
That's okay. So in the conservation minutes, they said that the more properties will be labeled as open space as part of the comp plan process, and that the percentage did not change. And so we didn't take away land from open space, correct?
No.
So
No, the numbers, I'd have to really read what it is they're talking about to understand the mathematics.
Yeah, so I'm trying to wonder, do we have a breakout of what is accessible open space versus what isn't accessible? It just doesn't make sense to me why the percentage.
We can break it out, and we have a lot of ways with GIS, whether it's private owned, some of the stuff is in farm forest and open space, that's privately owned, but there's a certain designation with a low tax rate. We know what those properties are. We can quantify the state-owned land, town-owned land.
Is it possible to find, like, if there was a percentage increase, would have been? I mean, the only way it would make sense to me is if it was, like, say, 2 acres increase. It was so small it wouldn't contribute, but 600 acres seems to be, I mean, no, the more open space seems to be, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I can give you the numbers any which way you want with GIS. I can tell you what's federally owned. We've got Autobahn land too. So I'd have to see what it is they're actually talking about. I hope that helps.
If I might, Mr. President, I suspect what we're looking at is land that is owned versus land that is zoned.
Okay.
There's far more land that's zoned as open space than land that we own as open space. So the changes that were made in the comp plan wouldn't change the ownership percentage. They would change the potential if we acquired it as open space.
Other people own property that is designated as open space. That's what it is. It's not a town-owned land.
For example, a big piece of that change, I believe, is the city of Woonsocket land. That it is open space.
Or on the reservoir.
Right, but we don't own it.
Right.
So
Yeah, and then again,
I think that's important.
I was just curious as to how the two are then combined.
No, yeah, Gary's right in terms of just the classification of it, because it says there has been relabeled as open space. There were some parcels that were managed by the land trust, I want to say, that weren't properly captured as open space. Because of their ownership, they would very likely not be developed. So in working with Paul Soares in the comp plan, we made those adjustments. But Gary makes up a good point about the open space designation now around the reservoir. That's open space zone. So that's adding to the percentage now too.
Answer your question?
Yeah.
Next item on the old business, discussion by council vote or other action on update by Municipal Building Review Task Force. First item is payment of pay rec number 3 from Councilor.
Accept those minutes, conservation.
Yeah.
there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
The Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Zelinski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Oshia?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Now the next item, discussion by council or other action on update by municipal building review task force. First item is payment of pay rec number 3 from Councilor Corp. You should have a copy of pay rec dated June 1st, 2019, invoice number 19-9308, total amount due $364,950.64. It is the recommendation of the task force to pay that as all services have been received, signed off by the architect and by Mark Sakosha, our project manager of all the construction administration.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the payment to Carlson for payment request number 3 in the amount of $364,913.64.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Oshia?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Item number 2 is payment of invoice number 12 from Sakosha and Associates, and you should have a copy of the invoice dated June 5th, 2019. Services rendered through 5/31/2019 in the amount of $2,995.20. All services have been received. The recommendation of the task force to pay it. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, at the recommendation of the task force, I make a motion to approve invoice number 12 from Sakosha and Associates in the amount of $2,995.20.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Oshia?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Just as an FYI for everybody, we continue to be on time to finish that project for the 31st of October. It continues to remain within the budget. Next item, discussion by council vote on other action on fiscal year 2019-2020 budget, not public hearing or adoption. I had that put on there just so that if anybody had any questions or comments or documents that they would like to have for next Monday's meeting, this would be a chance to ask for it, and you can show the administration and get it to us. It's the only reason that it's on there, just so that if there was any request for information for next Monday's meeting, we could put it up here tonight and have it, so that we're not asking them on Friday for a Monday meeting.
Mr. President, if I may, Mr. Racco had a good point earlier this evening. I would like to see the most up-to-date on expenditures for up to June 1st, if maybe Cindy can answer how far up-to-date we are. I would like to have that ahead of time before the meeting, dissemination to everybody, so people can review it in a reasonable amount of time. Is that a hard request, Cindy? No, right? Push it button, yeah.
May 31st would be one, yeah, June 1st doesn't then, it's not really one.
Yeah, so well, that's what I said, the most up-to-date. I didn't, yeah.
You can send that electronically. Any other requests for information from the board? Thank you. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on request to rescind ordinance section 15-5, subsection 16. No vehicle shall be parked on any public highway for more than 2 hours at a time between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m. Mrs. O'Hara.
I've been ill for a week, and I appreciate it.
I just have one question on this.
Okay.
Maybe more to the administration or to the, when they talk about a public highway, are they meaning any road in town? Does it reference any road, or just, does that reference like state highways specifically?
You know, Mr. President, I've asked that question and I've received different answers. And the way that I read the ordinance and defer to the solicitor, it is any roadway.
Any road?
Either our state or local roadways. I think the more diligent enforcement has been on the state highways. But the ordinance actually does, again, my impression, apply to every road.
If I may, Mr. President, it applies to any road where snow removal efforts are underway or will be underway.
Does it only mean when there's snow, or does it mean anytime?
Anytime.
Anytime, so obviously we're not
This is
even
snow
enforcing.
removal.
I get it, but that's outside.
It's understood with the snow removal, but what happens, if I'm correct, this law dates back to the 1940s, 1950s, for whatever reason, I don't know. And about 3 years ago, someone complained continually, one person. And that one person didn't want anyone actually parking on the street. This person could not get it for 24 hours, so she would take nighttime. And maybe where you are, but there are denser parts where there's only, small driveways, and maybe that was good for the 50s when you're lucky you had one car. And now with multiple cars, there's no, where to park. And even if you fall asleep, and you don't get out there in time, you've got a ticket. So I think that dates back to long ago, and it's particularly a problem around the Congregational Church because many of them don't even have driveways. So they have to go around in the woods to park at night, which was open land, I guess, for everybody to park. So I don't think it's necessary, and I'd like to remove that.
Well, if you read this ordinance, you don't follow any of it, pretty much.
It's the last thing.
I mean, you go through this and there's street by street on here, and they're not enforced, and,
Oh, yes, they are on one street.
What street?
Absolutely.
but they're, as a whole, we put them in there, and then the enforcement, it just isn't.
Well, I mean, there are issues that become complaint-based, clearly. There are 2 locations that I can point to where this no overnight parking circumstance has been an aid to individuals, whether that's something that's warranted or unwarranted. I've tried to understand where this came from to make sure that in repealing it we weren't creating, first of all, a safety hazard or understanding what the nuisance was that created it in the first place. I wasn't able to find anything through the police department. I was provided a history of ticketing. I find nothing in it that supports the absolute need. So
It goes in waves. If a person complains enough, they go and they enforce the score. And the essence really isn't the point that people are parked on the street. There's people who don't feel that the road in front of their house should be theirs, and no one else has the okay to park there. Now, if that house, no one parked in front of that house, there'd be no problem. And this could go on. It's just, people work hard, and they park the car, and they get up in the morning, so on, second, fifth, etc. And I don't think it's fair. Because again, it's only enforced, quote, in a certain area. It's good for one, good for all.
So, instead of just removing it completely, is it possible to just reword the language? So instead of any public highway, you say any state highway? So that way you can't just park your car on 146 or somewhere like that. Essentially, if it sounds like it's a lot of these side streets, is there a way to recraft the language instead of just restricting it, removing it completely, and then finding out that there was an issue with removing it?
I looked in this town, the area, is one of the first, besides Slatersville, it's on farmland, residential, they're 50 by 100 lots. And it was only within the last, I'd say, 5 years that someone who's lived in more than 5 years, and now they found this law, and they want it enforced. And they, like I said again, they did enforce it in a couple of places. But it's fair to the other ones. These people can go back and say, this, you're enforcing it on our street, But how about all the streets within the city or down?
Just so the council's clear, I would have to draft an amendment to an ordinance that would have to be submitted, posted, in 2 different meetings, and days in advance. So this request is not tracking for a couple of meetings, but definitely clear what the ordinance is going to be, so.
Right.
A vote tonight would
Right now,
only
we're
be a
just
start of the process.
figuring out whether we want to continue.
And if you want to
I mean,
change the-
and when we address state highways, you got to remember that School Street, Green Street, Providence Pike, North Main Street, I believe, those are state roads. We have a lot of state roads that go through the town, and the Summit Avenues, the White Parkways, the Merrimack, those are town roads. Greenwood Lane, Greenwood Street, all that. But we have a lot of state roads that go, if you go park on those state roads.
Clearly, if this ordinance was enforced, we'd have tickets every night, especially in Union Village, through Park Square, some areas of Slatersville, perhaps Forestdale, probably Forestdale, Maple Avenue, where there are limited opportunities because of the 50, 40 by 100 lots. And we do have circumstances where we have multi-family buildings where it exacerbates the circumstance. But I do think that there's merit for repeal or revision. No matter what you do, you're going to have somebody happy and somebody unhappy. But I think what I've said to the councils in the past is that what we should do is have rules that reflect what we're actually doing, as opposed to what maybe 1 or 2 people aspire us to do. And this is one that, again, if we're